Do you have one of these? Do you plan on celebrating the 4th of July? Do you plan on flying one of these on the 4th of July? I say no. Fold it up and put it away in a drawer. Because number one, we don't have freedom anymore. Definitely do not have freedom. And we definitely do not have a democracy at this moment as I speak. Think about it. Up until just months ago, anytime anyone in this country was arrested, no matter what they're arrested for, they had due process. You had to read them their rights, you have to arrest them, they get a trial, you know the score. Now, people can just snatch you off the street. They don't have to show you a warrant, they don't have to read you your rights, you don't have to have due process. They just pass this crazy bill. They don't give a crap about Americans. They want to take away your health care for seriously poor people.
The 4th of July is canceled. You're not paying attention? July 4th can no longer be a holiday because the freedoms you once thought you have were stripped away yesterday by the U.S. Supreme Court. And they think that Americans are gonna go out and spend $60 billion during this holiday season. Holidays, crazy talk. There's no way any of us should show up to festivities this season. Because how could you be celebrating anything right now? Are you gonna be outside waving flags and watching fireworks while they burn the Constitution? So this year we're not playing along. No fireworks, no spending, no travel. We are shutting it down. Don't go out and buy anything red, white, and blue. In fact, stay home. We need to show them that the celebration is over. I need you to boost this signal. I need you to tag a friend, and I need you to take your power back. Let them know that real patriots aren't throwing parties. Instead, we're planning resistance. We are the People's Sick Day, and we are May Day. Refuse, resist, and repeat, because May Day will rise.
July 4th is not the same holiday as Labor Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, etc. So for all of you room temperature IQ'd people on my Facebook just up in arms about who can celebrate July 4th and who can't, I would advise you to do some research on what you're celebrating on July 4th. As much as you might like to stand around your kiddie pool with your 12 stepkids drinking Budweiser and smoking cigs, talking about how America's number one, the whole point of July 4th is to remember that we intentionally chose to never live under authoritarian rule again, to have freedom, to have actual independence. We will never live under a king again. The spirit of the American person is one of rebelliousness, is one of fighting, one of standing up for others, specifically standing up for those with less rights than themselves. So if you are someone with tons of rights and freedoms and liberties, it is your duty to stand up for those who are disadvantaged, disenfranchised, or don't have the same rights. So no, we're not celebrating our military killing people and standing up. We're celebrating our independence and our intentional decision to never live under a king again. Remember that.
And all the Americans, is there any important thing to actually celebrate about this 4th of July or the 4th of week? You know, I've heard one of the speakers actually speak about 4th of July, you know, as a day where Americans celebrate the independence. Independence from, you know, shackles, you know, independence from the dark past. But is there anything to really celebrate about this Independence Day or this 2025 Independence Day? First, I came from a Gallup poll from July 2024, that is in X, and it stopped me on my track. So only 58 of Americans say they are extremely or very proud to be American right now, at a historic low, down 9 points from last year. Democrats are just at 6% pride, down from 62%. Independent people are actually 53%, but Republicans, they're still at 92, full of patriotic energy. So I checked on X to see what people are saying, and the anger is real. One user called Big Beautiful Bill an assault on American life, saying it makes the richer guts, the rich richer, guts program like Medicaid and SNAP, and fuel detention policies. Another one also warned it could lead to 11.8 million Americans losing health coverage, including 1.6 million veterans. Someone also said it's driving up poverty and homelessness while prices are soaring high. This post painted a picture of the picture of a bill that's got people worried about their future. And it's tied to why some can celebrate this historic, amazing day, Then there's this issue about the Alligator Alcatraz, a detention center in Florida Everglades. So we'll know actually it was opened the other day. So I read about Trump touring these new migrant facilities where he toured it on 1st July alongside the governor, Ron, and Homeland Security Secretary Chris Noem. It's built on an old airstrip surrounded by alligators and pythons, and they are calling it model mass deportation. So Trump said it will house most vicious people, but critics and on X and elsewhere say it's cruel, targeting the Everglades, and environmental groups are suing, saying it's harming the fragile system. So we've all seen even that thing. It just flooded, after a very short period of time, and it was, built very hurriedly. So the Alligator Alcatraz actually, did flood out. And when you look when trying to compare that with a German detention center, and actually it paints a very sad and sickening picture that there's a very people who are actually the working people, or the working class, that low income earners that are working very hard to actually fend their living, because you all know, okay, there are illegal aliens, as they call it, immigrants who are actually let's say criminals, but we have seen of recent past people who are actually being detained who are actually not who are not illegal immigrants, So there's a person, and this has led to actually, the Statue of Liberty. I think you've seen there's an artist by the name Christian in France who actually, made a Statue of Liberty covering its face. It depicts a picture, of Assad's state. And what she said that I never thought I will see a concentration camp, or I never thought I will see a concentration camp be put in the United States of America, where they're actually selling merch like there are proud people are suffering. So I'm embarrassed for us, and I know the majority of Americans feel the same way. I'm sure Lady Liberty is sobbing. When she's saying they are selling merchandise, we've seen the Trump people actually, proudly selling the Alligator Alcatraz merch, and it shows how sick some of these muggers are, So and it was quoted from CBS News. It say a mural statue of Liberty covering her face in shame was unveiled in Roblox, France, one day before the United States celebrates Independence Day on 4th July. The mural titled The Statue of Liberty. Silent protests were created by Dutch artist Judith de Leeuw, who painted it over 6 days. A building on Rue de de Phare de la Vue, said that the city of Roubaix has a large migrant population, and many of them lives in extremely different circumstances. The value that the statue once stood for, freedom, hope, the right to be yourself, have been lost for many. And she said, and we all know the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France to the United States and stands for liberty, or stands on Liberty Island in New York, nearby Ellis Island, which was a stopover for immigrants working their way to New York in 19th to 20th century. Both make up the national park. So I think if you see this video, that down there, this is the unveiled video of the Statue of Liberty, the current form, facing, covering the face to depict how it's the sad day for Americans. The all issues, there's a person who actually said in X called Bernadette, fun fact, authoritarian regimes always tell us that their citizens, they go after illegals or criminals. I'm sure some of them will be. What they don't want to tell you is that the net will rapidly grow to include journalists, dissidents, and critics. And you go ahead and say, save this post for future reference. So he feel like it will start as a detention facility, then ends, as it will eat the people, it will eat the journalists. We have seen how Trump has been fighting with all the journalists, many of the journalists. So if you'll critique him, I think next day will be sent here. Then there's this Dr. G who said, how can anyone claim this is Christian nation, yet take pleasure in suffering of migrants whose only so-called crime is being undocumented? Instead of fostering compassion and unity, we are witnessing the spread of division, hatred, bigotry, and an arrogance that stands in direct opposition to the Christ values, or the Christ-like values. This is precisely why I could never support Trump or any aligned with the MAGA ideology. And we all know that he's been actually standing for as a Christian nation, but what is actually happening is beyond what Christians think of. I feel like Trump involvement in what in Iran and the conflict, because if I talk about that topic, YouTube tends to not actually promote my videos, but look at what Trump has been involved in world affairs. He actually been supporting people who are brutally extinguishing the whole country, what Israel did to Hamas. And there was a funny post, look at this, when you proudly put your picture, an AI generated picture, then you say ICE, Alligator Alcatraz, make America safe again. So this we can interpret as in many ways. It can be maybe a security as a security to show that the security is tight. But what again is trying to actually depict is that he's mocking the immigrants And I saw somewhere a person say that, we should not blame the blacks or the immigrants. We should blame the lazy white Americans who didn't want to work. Because the speaker thought that if Americans could be working, there will be no high influx of immigrants. And if there were no influx of immigrants, maybe I wonder what Trump could be campaigning with, used to campaign for. And there's this one person who I find, very disturbing. He said, for the people hating on this, the prison is for high-profile criminals, not regular citizens. How many American citizens have been actually deported? I see now the Supreme Court, I think, allowed Trump to deport migrants. I saw some of them are Venezuelans. Some of them are Dutch to South Sudan. They are being held in detention camp or military base in Khartoum. So they are being taken to South Sudan. We all know what is happening in Southern Sudan. So what is Trump really trying to actually, prepare? What is Trump doing in South Sudan? Because you're supposed to actually deport somebody to his or her own country. Why Southern Sudan? We all know Sudan is having a conflict, the North Sudan or the original Sudan. South Sudan is also having an election crisis. So what really is Trump planning? And this guy went ahead actually after some few minutes, I think, when he came into sense, he said, I hope I'm right about this. But if I'm wrong, then American is FUCKED. And I think it's already done, So the whole thing has nothing to actually celebrate, And why people think, this is a detention camp. One, it's mass detention without trial. So why people think this is a concentration camp, not different to what Nazis were doing, mass deportation without trial. People are in prison without due process or legal recourse. So these are people actually, some of them who was pending, court cases, about the immigrations. They have appointments, but they are being, harnessed, being grabbed. Yeah? Another thing is target group persecution. So detention based on race, religion, ethnicity, political view, or identity. Who are really these people that actually, being detained in those concentration camps? Most are Latinos. The same people that actually, stood with Trump, Then it's a concentration camp is state or military or controlled by military. So operated or sanctioned by the government or the armed force. Who sanctioned the construction of Alligator Alcatraz? Donald Trump. The construction camp has harsh, inhumane conditions. The overcrowding, how these things have been concentrated, a bill. I'm wondering if they will provide things like warm blankets for these guys, because the only crime was being in America, abuse, starvation, disease, or forced labor. And I think that's what they're planning, because okay, I'll not talk about it. Then isolation and surveillance, separated from the society, often heavily monitored and controlled. That's the definition of concentration camp. And the detention camp that the Trump has just built, you can see what is really there, in an island surrounded by water or surrounded by alligators, of which I asked Grog, but he said it's not really true. But look at those conditions. Then fear as a tool of control. They are telling people, go, self-deport or we're gonna arrest you, without a due process. So everything is just not okay, Then another thing that actually people feel, that there's no, people feel like there's no need of celebrating the 4th of July, is the grocery prices. So let's talk about grocery prices. I've seen posts and reports saying Trump tariffs and the bill policies are driving up cost for everyday stuff, groceries, gas, you name it. I've seen a video of a guy actually it was Florida where, not actually, it was a red state. The gas prices, he say these gas prices are so high that even when Biden was in, So I saw one ex-user said working families are grappling with higher prices while the bill gives tax break to the ultra-wealthy. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the billion could add 3.3 trillion to the national debt by 2034, which could mean more economic pain down to the road. When you're struggling to afford prices, fireworks don't feel like celebratory. We've all seen what really is happening. Like when the bill was passed, there are many clauses there that were very bad for any American, who are very, very bad. Talk about loans to students. It has been cast, replaced with what I don't know. So So when the prices are so high, people are feeling like, no. Let's talk about what is happening to veterans, actually. So the big concern about veterans is the bill cuts $793 billion from Medicaid. And do you know what this means? It means it could leave about 1.6 million veterans without care. The VA is already under strain with the potential future cuts looming. People are worried veterans won't get the support they deserve. Many of them, I think they have a lot of mental problems, PTSD, they are having mental breakdowns, some of them are homeless. And what Trump did, thought the best is to import what? Those black, the white South Africans back to the country. Even I saw one ex-user who say, wake up veterans. This bill hurts our community. For those who've served, Independence Day is supposed to honor their sacrifice. But this cut makes them feel like betrayal instead, So everything isn't actually, black and white, And the fear of massive job losses. That bill or the Dodge, pushed for cutting of many of, we say, our federal jobs. Even if Trump's, he posted like he has increased many jobs, but I think that's just a cook-up value. 147,000 jobs. Trump the 47th. So was that a cooked up value? Because tell me how what has been the new jobs that we introduced? Maybe employing more ICE agents or more policemen? Because I feel that's what the job that he was saying. Just look at what Dodge did. Many of the postal office workers were, fired. You know, many of federal workers, the USAID was closed. Many businesses closed down. So how were those jobs created? You know, tell me what you think down in the comment section. Let's engage, and happy 4th of July to every Americans who think they deserve to actually, you know, celebrate it. Till next time, thank you.